My brother was an explorer who loved wild, unknown places more than anything else. His biggest dream was to travel deep into an old forest filled with strange stories and legends. One cool autumn morning, he left home, promising he would be back in a few weeks. But weeks became months, and he never returned. 3 months after he vanished, I finally stepped into that forest myself. Not because I was brave, but because I had to find him. People in town spoke about Sable Hollow Forest only in tense whispers. They said it wasn't haunted by ghosts. They said the forest itself was alive. But I needed answers, anything to fill the emptiness that had been eating me alive since the day my brother disappeared. So I went at dusk. I didn't tell anyone. The first thing I noticed when I crossed the boundary was the smell. Not earth, not moss, but something sweet, almost metallic, like rotting flowers soaked in old blood. Still, I walked. Every few minutes, I caught glimpses of something pale between the trees, too tall to be an animal, too silent to be human. I told myself it was my nerves, but as the light rained through the branches, the shadows thickened into something almost physical, like slabs of black flesh hanging between the trees. And then the sounds began. Not the usual forest noises, clicks, clicks like bones tapping together. A low moaning, not from a person, but from the ground itself, like the earth was exhaling. I wanted to stop. Every part of me screamed to turn around, but I kept going, following the half faded path my brother should have taken. When I reached the clearing, the world changed. The trees ringed the space in a perfect circle. The soil was bare, stripped of grass, just raw black dirt that seemed to pulse faintly in the darkness. And in the center was something I will never forget, a tree, thick, twisted, its bark a dark red black, as if charred and bleeding at the same time. Something was carved into the trunk. My brother's name, fresh, wet, dripping. My stomach flipped. I reached out to touch the carved letters. The bark was warm, too warm, like a feverish forehead. My fingers came away red. That was when I heard it. You are late. The voice wasn't behind me. It wasn't in front of me. It rose from the soil beneath my feet. I stumbled back, and the ground moved, shifted, like something massive was waking up below. Roots broke through the dirt like skeletal fingers, writhing, reaching for me. The tree in the center shuddered, actually shuddered, and from the bark, faces began pushing outward. Human faces, dozens. their mouths stretched in silent screams, their eyes bulging in agony, their features trapped inside the living wood. One face I recognized instantly, my brother. His lips parted, and though his mouth barely moved, his voice slid into my ears like warm breath. Don't run! It will make it hungrier. Roots burst from the dirt and wrapped around my ankles, burning hot and cold at the same time, tightening with impossible strength. I screamed as more roots whipped toward me like tendrils. Suddenly, the trees around the clearing bent inward, the sound of their trunks cracking like bone snapping, their branches tangled together, forming a cage over it. The air thickened with the sweet metallic rot smell until I could taste it on my tongue. From somewhere deep below, something enormous groaned, felt ancient, older than the forest, older than the soil. The roots vibrated, pulling me downward inch by inch. My brother's face pressed farther through the bark, wood splitting around his cheeks, splinters cracked off like broken teeth. Help me, he whispered, but it wasn't his voice anymore. It was something using his mouth, something that wanted me to step closer. When I didn't move, it spoke again, this time in my own voice. Please don't leave me. I tore my leg upward desperately, and something gave way. The root tightened, then snapped back into the soil with a hiss like a wounded animal. Then I ran. Behind me, the forest roared, not with wind, not with animals, but with thousands of voices overlapping, shrieking, crying, begging. Trunks split open around me, hands of bark and flesh reaching out. Roots tore off the ground like serpents, snapping inches from my heels. No matter how far I ran, the forest didn't empty. It followed. Branches clawed at my clothes like hands, trying to pull me back into the earth. I felt something grab my wrist, ice cold, bony fingers, and I yanked so hard the skin tore. I didn't look back. I didn't breathe. When I burst out of Sable Hollow at dawn, the first thing I saw was the road, then the rising sun, then finally my own blood darkened hands. Behind me, the forest stood still, silent, watching. I collapsed. In the hospital, they told me I was delirious, dehydrated, hallucinating. They said the wounds on my legs were from brambles. The carved letters on my wrist, they called them scratches. But they were not scratches. They were letters, my name, carved into my skin by something that wanted to remember me, something that is still remembering. Because every night since that day, just as my eyes begin to close, I hear a soft tapping at my window. Not fingernails, roots. They whisper my name, gentle as a lullaby. Come back, we are waiting. Come back. are waiting. And I know one truth, one horrible truth. The forest never lets go of what it wants, and it wants me.